Aloha and welcome to Action Island. I am Gilles Gallant. I'm joined by Nick Giffen, Grant Neiffer, and Kyle Murray, and we're here to wrap up Week 15 in the NFL. And on tap for Monday Night Football, we've got the Philadelphia Eagles playing the Los Angeles Chargers. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a four-leg same-game parlay for this matchup. So here's how it works. We each give our two favorite bets for tonight's game. Then we're going to vote on those picks and decide which parlay or which pick is going to stay as a parlay leg or which one is going to get kicked off the island by the end of the show. We'll have a four-leg same-game parlay from a pick from each of us for tonight's matchup. And also, if you're looking to tail any of the bets that we give out, we're going to have quick slip links dropped in the YouTube chat as we go. That'll take you directly to the sportsbook where you could make that bet. Some of these lines and odds may move. You want to get the best price. So that's why you do it. So Kyle, let's start with you. I am seeing two props on your side for the Chargers. What are we doing?
Yeah, first one, I'm looking at Ladd McConkey taking his 50-plus receiving yard line. We have him projected for over 58.5 yards in our RotoGrinders NFL projection model. He's been a lot better at home since he debuted last year. In the 15 home games, 52-plus yards in 11 of those games. So obviously the indoor splits will help, but certainly a better player so far in his career at home. And Eagles are actually allowing the highest ADOT in the NFL this season against opposing wide receivers. So could see a big player too. A little bit of concern about potential limitations for Justin Herbert, but I do wonder if they turn to a little bit more of a pass heavy, like a short pass situation approach at times, because Herbert won't be taking many, if any, snaps under center. So I do think there is some concern with the potential efficiency of this Chargers offense with that Herbert hand injury to his non-throwing hand, but I do think there is some potential reason to expect a little bit more volume here from McConkey, especially due to the fact that the Chargers are currently underdogs in this one.
Yeah, and I think the thing too that's smart is right now, looking at the market for 50 plus receiving yards, it's around minus 125, minus 130, but seeing the actual over underline right now for his receiving yards around 52 and a half, maybe even 53 and a half at some spots. So, yeah, let's grab that 50 plus receiving yards for Ladd McConkey in this game at a decent price. What's the next pick?
Yeah, this one I was considering taking just the receiving yards for Amari and Hampton, but looking into it more, I'm going to take the rushing and receiving line, 60 plus rushing and receiving yards for Amari and Hampton tonight. The market seems to be suggesting that there could be some limitations to Hampton. Obviously, he hasn't played since week 5 when he sustained that injury that put him on IR, and it's been a long-awaited return for Hampton here. But to close out the week, this week, he ended with 2 full practices, and he was even practicing in a limited fashion last week. So I feel like for the majority of players in that situation, we would be expecting him to be at a pretty close to a full go here. I do think we'll still see Kamani Vidal impacted a little bit in terms of what he's going to do to Hampton's role, because he did play well in Hampton's absence, but nonetheless, Hampton's going to return and be the guy here. So when you look at what he was doing prior to him going out with that injury, 17 total catches in the final 3 games before getting banged up, also averaging north of 80 rushing yards per game. This is a good matchup for him, as well as the Eagles are allowing the 5th most receiving yards per game to opposing running backs, and over the last 5 games, opposing running backs averaging over 4.63 yards per carry. Obviously, we saw what the Bears just did them on the ground last week. I think that we could see Hampton get involved in both the passing and the receiving game here, so I like the over 60 yards here for Hampton.
Yeah, the Chargers really need to get something like from a jolt on offense, and I think Hampton can help with that, especially in the receiving game. So nice little find there to be able to find 60 plus rushing and receiving yards because we know he's likely going to be out there on third down for those pass catching roles. So Nick, Grant, we got to take a vote. Are we going to take Ladd McConkey to get 50 or more receiving yards, or are we going to take Omari and Hampton to have 60 plus rushing and receiving yards? So let's take a vote. So I wrestled with this one. I ended up going with Lad. What did you go ahead do? All right, Hampton. I see Lad from Grant. Okay, Nick, I have to ask you then, what was the deciding factor for taking Hampton over Lad in this one?
Yeah, I just think Hampton's back. And I think the Chargers are gonna have some trouble passing the ball. I'll talk about that
Yeah.
a little bit in my segment. And if they do pass the ball, I think Marion Hampton could be a good check down option here. And then also just I think he's back. I think he's the clear running back one over Kamani Vidal here. So I like this Hampton play 60 plus. I might just play this as a single leg myself.
Nice. Okay, so um, Amari and Hampton, 60 plus rushing and receiving yards. If you do want to tail that bet, a quick slip link was just dropped in the YouTube chat where that could take you to the sports book to tail that bet. But for this parlay, we are going to use Lad McConkey to have 50 plus receiving yards. So that is the first leg of the same game parlay. Let's now move to Grant, who also has two props on the Chargers side. What are we doing, man?
Yeah, and I'm actually going with both unders on these. I think this game is going to be ugly. I don't think there's going to be offense. Obviously, we have Herbert injured, all been out for a while, and that offense is not the same without him in there. So just everything kind of going against him. In the first one, I'm going with Vidal under 36 and a half rushing yards. Now, I know this line isn't terribly high, but Hampton's back, and he's likely going to be the go-to back in this offense. I know Vidal did great when he was required to get a large load, but overall, I think Hampton's the better running back. I think they're going to use him heavily. I would be worried about his limitations, but they got him that extra week of practice. He was practicing last week. It looked like he might play last week, and then they didn't. So he should be a full go in this one. I just don't think the volume is going to be there. The Chargers have not been running the ball great regardless. And with them being slight dogs, maybe forced into a more passing heavy game script later in the game. So I'm rolling with the Dolls under. And then the next one, under 3.5 receptions for Gadsden. And I got this minus 110. I think it's around minus 125 right now. And I still like that under. Gadsden, he was phenomenal for a while. I mean, we had a few shows where we took his overs and he absolutely crushed them. But recently has not been doing a ton. Three, two, and one receptions over the last three games. Obviously, Herbert's hand could potentially make that worse. They have so many different options now with Hampton coming back. They got Hampton, they got Allen, they got Ladd, they got Johnston. So they've got a lot of other guys they can go to. So the volume's probably just not going to be there. And Philly, on top of that, bottom five in the league in terms of target or in terms of receptions allowed to opposing tight ends, bottom five in target share to opposing tight ends, and number one DVOA versus the tight end. So just overall a bad matchup for Gadsden. 3.5, it doesn't seem like a very high line, but considering its volume he's been getting recently and the matchup, it's far too high in my opinion.
All right, so we're gonna have to make a choice here, Nick, Kyle. Are we gonna fade Kamani Vidal under 36 and a half rushing yards, or are we gonna take Orange Gadsden under 3.5 receptions? So let's take a vote. All right, I went with the orange. What did you guys do? Vidal. The damn got voted out. All right. So I just went with Gadsden because I just think it's a better, just a fade in general, especially with Hampton coming back. But again, Vidal, if we're expecting Hampton to have a much larger role, that means Vidal is going to have to take a seat as well. So but I've been outvoted, so we're going to take the under on Kamani Vidal, under 36 and a half rushing yards. We're going to pair that with Lad McConkey, 50 plus receiving yards. Okay, now before we get to Nick, I just want to bring up if you want access to Action Pro projections, make sure to sign up for an annual subscription to Action Pro. Access includes exclusive player prop picks from Sean Kerner and other members of the Action Analytics team, along with their anytime touchdown projections. To sign up, visit actionnetwork.com/pro today. Use code Island20 at sign up. One more time, that's Island20 at sign up for $20 off. All right, Nick, we talked off air a little bit how much you maybe loathe this matchup in game. So I imagine your picks are probably going to go in that direction. What are we doing with the first one?
Yeah, well, last night I was really excited about the under in the Texans Chiefs games. I'm not excited about this under here for the Eagles and the Chargers, but I am going with the under because I'm struggling to find anything positive to say about this game. So under 41 and a half we look at both quarterbacks, they have negative coverage matchups, and Jalen Hurts in particular is much worse versus zone. And the Chargers are a top 3 zone team. Jalen Hurts' efficiency projects around minus 13% versus his season long average based off the coverages the Chargers like to use. And I think Herbert's around minus 3%. So could be some struggles in the pass game. Both run games are bad, right? These offenses are 22nd and 24th in rushing DVOA, while both, pass defenses are good, 7th and 11th. So these bad running games should be going against these relatively bad running defenses, but that's just a way to eat clock. Obviously, Herbert is playing injured. Lane Johnson is out for the Eagles. Both teams suck at kick returns and punt returns, so we may see really poor field position, which is kind of an interesting thing. The Eagles play at one of the slowest neutral paces, and the Chargers are below average. So there's just like nothing good that I can say to project scoring here. And I even think the Chargers are really going to struggle passing the ball, as I kind of alluded to. You have 3 great, or good to great wide receivers, if you want to call Quentin Johnston good, but Keenan Allen and Lad McConkey as well. But the problem is the Eagles match up perfectly against them with that Vic Fangio cover 8. I think, all of a sudden, if Lad's playing in the slot a lot, he'll have Cooper DeJean. Then you can have Quinyon Mitchell on Keenan Allen, and Quentin Johnston sucks versus zone coverage. So you can let Adoree Jackson, who's the worst defensive back of the Eagles, get that zone double help over the top so that, you don't have to worry about Quentin Johnston either. So I think it's going to be a tough game for the Chargers to move the ball. I think that key here is going to be that coaching matchup between Vic Fangio and then, Greg Roman, because I think if he's able to move around Lad McConkey to the outside more and even throw Quentin Johnston in the slot or something like that, or just sacrifice them, right? Like almost like we're playing chess here and you're sacrificing a piece in chess. Just sacrifice Quentin Johnston so you can get a mismatch with either Ladd or Keenan Allen against Adoree Jackson. But otherwise, I think it's going to be tough. I think you're going to have to rely on these running games to get the scoring, and that just tends to lead to lower scoring overall.
All right. Well, Nick woke up and chose violence today. We just laid napalm to this game. All right. Under 41.5 is the first pick from Nick. Let's move to the next one.
Well, I did talk about how you're going to need to get the running games going, but I'm going to go with Saquon Barkley longest reception under 10.5 yards. So if you're getting those running games going, fewer receptions potentially, fewer passes. And Saquon Barkley's medium longest reception per game this year is 9. And this ends up being a tough matchup. The Chargers allow the 7th fewest targets per game to the running back. And when running backs are targeted, they allow the 9th lowest yards per target to running backs. So it's going to be a struggle for Saquon Barkley to break off a big one if he's not getting targeted much. And then when he is getting targeted, those aren't really going for yards either. The Chargers, they also average the 2nd most time of possession. So it's just less time for Philly to possess the ball if the Chargers are actually possessing the ball, moving it, which again, I have my doubts about, but just in terms of season averages, that's still something there. And also just less efficiency for Barkley, the types of coverages the Chargers tend to use. Barkley has been about 7% less efficient as a receiver. So I just think all signs point to an under here for Saquon Barkley, longest reception under 10.5.
Right. Monday Night Football, 2 teams, 8-4. According to Nick, it's going to be the no fun league for this game tonight. All right. Grant, Nick, Kyle, we got to take a vote here. So are we going to take the under 41.5 for the game total, or are we going to fade Saquon Barkley longest reception under 10.5 yards? So let's take a vote. All right, I went with under 41.5. What'd you guys do? Okay, all right. I don't know what under Kyle is voting for. I'm assuming it's just under in general. But either way, 41.5
yeah.
got 2 votes. Yeah, it got 2 votes. So that is going to be the 3rd pick to pair with under 34.5 rushing yards for Kamani Vidal and 50 plus receiving yards for Lad McConkey. Now, I share some of that sentiment that Nick has about this game and not feeling great about the potential of scoring, but I do find 2 touchdown props that I do like for this game that I still think have some value, just given where they are and where the odds are. And on the Eagles side, I'm going to start with Dallas Goedert. So he's around plus 350. He hasn't scored in a while. But I think this could be a good matchup for him. 7 touchdowns this year. And the Chargers, they play zone and too high safety at top 5 rates. His target rate tends to go up when facing zone and too high. And the Chargers, we talked about the Eagles ranking first in defensive DVOA versus tight ends. They actually rank last, the Chargers, against tight ends in defensive DVOA. They gave up 2 touchdowns to Brock Bowers last week. So I'm just going to take Goddard, keep that trend going for the Eagles passing game. Now, Keenan Allen is a tricky one here. So I grabbed this yesterday at plus 425. He's around plus 360, plus 370 now. As of this show right now, it is the biggest edge in the action anytime touchdown odds projections powered by our analytics team. But he has been in a little bit of a scoring drought. I still think the matchup is good, be good for him. He still leads the team in targets per route run. He's tied for the team lead with 9 end zone targets. So I think as long as Justin Herbert isn't just completely compromised and can still throw the ball, I think he's going to target Allen in the end zone if they get close. So a big if, though, obviously, if we've taken the under 41.5. So, all right. So, guys, we got to take a vote here. Which touchdown prop are we going to round out this parlay with? Are we going to take Dallas Goedert or are we going to take Keenan Allen? So the choice is yours. All right. Which touchdown prop did we go with, fellas? Goddard, Keenan, Goddard. Oh, wasn't unanimous. Okay. Kyle, I'll go to you then. What was the choice between Keenan and Goddard for you right now?
Yeah, it was really close. I liked both plays. I think I just gave Keenan Allen the slight edge because a little bit more juice into the parlay, slightly
Sure.
better odds, and we had him projected slightly better in our Roto Grinders model. So I don't think it's too dramatic of a difference in the projection, but mainly just the odds. And I do think that there's a chance that we probably see Keenan Allen be a little bit higher in the pecking order, down in the red zone. Obviously, you have so many mouths to feed for the Eagles. So all things considered, it was just more of a tiebreaker for those things that led me to Keenan Allen.
For sure, yeah. And again, with this game at the 41.5, like you got to make sure that you get decent prices on some of these touchdown props, just given that how scoring might be difficult to find. But let's go over what we picked for the parlay. So we're going to take Lad McConkey, 50 plus receiving yards. We are fading Kamani Vidal. We're taking the under on his rushing yard prop. We're taking the under in the game, under 41.5. And we're going to pair that with Dallas Goedert for an anytime touchdown. Right now, I'm seeing parlay odds at just under 34 to 1 on FanDuel, 33 to 1 on DraftKings and Bet365. So pretty close to the same no matter what book we're using here. Nick, what do you think of this parlay here, just given your thoughts about the game and the lack of potential scoring?
Well, look, I do think these are the two best touchdown options you could have chosen from this game. So, under 41.5, there's still going to be points. We just don't want there to be more than 41 points. So I like I said, either Keenan or Goddard were both good. I was fine with either one of those. But I went with Goddard just because of that 30-second against the tight end, for the Chargers is what you mentioned there in DVOA. But I mean, we've got an under on Vidal, and that correlates with, Lad McConkey doing something instead of the ball going to Vidal. I was a little surprised Grant voted for Lad, just given he was on Vidal under. That would correlate strongly with Marion Hampton to do a lot more, but he went with Lad.
I was more just trying to juice the odds up. I think if we went Hampton and we went Vidal under, then it would drop the odds a decent amount. So
They
I like both of
penalize us.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, they penalize us for that correlation, I think, just given the fact of where it is. So
makes
we
sense.
wouldn't even get that much steam. So, yeah, no, that makes sense. So, all right, one more time before we get out of here. Lad McConkey, 50 plus receiving yards. Kamani Vidal, under 36.5 rushing yards, under 41.5 game total. Dallas Goedert, anytime touchdown. That's at 34 to 1 at FanDuel, 33 to 1 at DraftKings and Bet365. The link to that parlay for the quick slip has just been dropped in the YouTube chat. So if you want to tail this parlay, that's the best way to do that. So that is all for us. Thank you for watching Action Island for Monday Night Football. Also, a reminder, you could join the Action Network Discord because Nick and Grant, you guys are going to be doing Bet What Happens Live tonight at halftime for Monday Night Football. I think you guys start the show at the 2-minute warning of the first half. So go download the Action Network Discord and go check that out. So we'll be back on the island on Thursday. We're going to kick off week 15 with the Atlanta Falcons and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So on behalf of Nick Giffen, Grant Neiffer, Kyle Murray, I'm Gilles Gallant. Thank you for watching Action Island. Aloha and bon chance.